शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। स्मरणमात्रेण जन्मसंसारबन्धनात् विमुच्यते। नमस्तस्मै विष्णवे प्रभो विष्णवे लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। वार्ताय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीं वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Om Namo Venkatesaya. My pranams to everybody. We've been looking at chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, Dhyana Yoga, almost towards the fag end of chapter 6. Arjuna is initially asked this question, saying that, it's very difficult to control the mind. It's like controlling the hurricane. And because of the unstable nature of the mind moving from one thought to another, Bhagavan said, yes, there is no doubt what you are saying is true, Arjuna. But then, abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena chagrihete. That means with steady practice, continuous practice, as well as steadfastness to the goal of controlling the mind, one can definitely, control the mind. That's what he said. Then subsequently, Arjuna asked another question, saying that there are people who will follow this path. Then, at some point of time, they follow from that yoga path, or that because of the prarabdha karma, the body perishes, and therefore neither has he enjoyed the comforts of this loki, this iha, this loka, nor he has attained the moksha, which was the purpose of this whole exercise. Then what happens to that person? Doesn't he completely perish? That was the question that Arjuna asked. Then Bhagavan says, no, my bhaktas are never, the person who follows the yoga never perishes. In fact, people who do with this, what do you call this, Kalyana Krit, that means all these people who do this auspicious and then good acts will never come to grief at all. That's what Bhagavan says. So, Kalyana Krit Kachit Durgatim Tata Gachit. That means the person never goes into any Durgati. That's in fact the word Bhagavan uses Tata. Tata means, oh, my son. Because as far as for the guru, the disciple is also the son, and therefore he is addressing, oh, my son. That means for a son, the father will never tell lies. So that means what I am saying is absolutely true. So therefore, that person will never attain any durgatim. That means he will never go to narakas or any other lokas. He will get, he will then in this next loka, he says, for whatever good works he has done, he will go to different lokas and enjoy the benefits for a long period of time. Because for a person, there are two categories of people. A person who following the path of dharma, this yoga, he must still have not some desires which has not been completely eradicated, and therefore to fulfill those kind of desires, he goes to all these punya lokas and then enjoys the comfort as well as the bliss of in that particular lokas. Then he takes a birth in Suchinam Srimatam Gege Yoga Brashtobhijat. Then he takes the birth in a in a Suchinam, means absolutely pure. That means pure in terms of the spiritual purity. That means the people are already following the path of this yoga and other things, who will be born in that family. Srimatam, they'll be relatively well-to-do. So why he's saying Srimatam is, supposing for a person who is meeting his day-to-day life itself is a problem. To that person, if you talk to him about can you perform yoga, he won't be interested at all, because he has got to earn his bread every day. He has got to go. Then for a person who is relatively wealthy, he doesn't have to worry about taking care of the day-to-day requirements. So day-to-day requirements are completely met, and therefore then he can concentrate on this, this sadhana. So that's what Bhagavan says, Srimatam Gehe. So that kind of a person will be born in such kind of a situation where he doesn't have to, fight for his daily bread every day, and therefore he'll have in a comfortable position, and also the environment is such that all the people around him will be in performing this, this yoga, and therefore he will continue the path from that place. So in fact, just to give examples, maybe I'll just take just two examples. One is, if you take Swami Chinmayananda, who founded this Chinmaya mission in the last century, he was called as Balakrishna Menon in his Purvashram. So obviously he must have been a yoga brashta in his previous birth, because he initially he came as a young person, so he was a journalist. So he was you can imagine his commentaries on that beautiful flowery languages of the English language, as well as when you listen to his lectures, amazing. The kind of the way, the delivery, and those kind of the modulations, everything will be perfect, so that it's a pleasure to listen to that language itself. So such was the great person. So he was a journalist. So he had a feeling that all these people who are wearing this, the orange robes, they're all cheats. So that means they are only trying to, cover themselves with this kind of orange robes, and they're cheating the people. So he wanted to expose all these people. So he went and approached Swami Sivananda, who was staying in Rishikesh at that point of time. So he asked him, I want to have an interview with you. He said, why should I give an interview? No, because I want to expose all the people who are wearing this, sannyas robes. They're all cheats, he said. So that may be your opinion. I'm not interested in giving an interview. No, you must give me an interview. Then he said, what would I get? What would I get if I give an interview to you? I'm not interested in that. Then then the understanding between the two of them is, in case if this Swami this Balakrishna Menon exposes the Sivananda, then he will completely turn away from sannyas. And in case this Balakrishna Menon gets convinced in whatever he says, then he will turn into this the what do you call it, firm believer of this Hinduism. So the interview continued, and finally Balakrishna Menon got convinced. Then he said, I want to get into sannyas. Please take me as your disciple. Then he said, I'm not your guru. There is a guru staying in Uttarkashi. He says, Swami Tapon Maharaj. He is your guru. So your guru goes and approaches Swami Tapon Maharaj. And then within a matter of about 10, 12 years, he completely attains this complete realization. And he started spreading this message to the entire humanity. That means within a short period of time, how does he get turned around? Because when a person performs this yoga, there may be certain unfulfilled desires. And therefore, those things will have to be, fulfilled. Then only the person is able to progress further, and therefore it takes in the next birth some of the unfulfilled desires gets fulfilled. Maybe as a journalist, or maybe whatever it is, his unfulfilled desire might have been there, and therefore he completed it. And once that was done, immediately he can rise up to the higher levels. That is one example. Another example, how Bhagavan himself creates a situation for the people. You must be knowing, in the Maharashtra there are 4 major saints who was great devotees of Panduranga. Sant Jnaneshwar, he had his brothers, Sopana Devar, Nivriti Devar, Sant Jnaneshwar, as well as his sister Muktabai. Now his father was called as Vithoba. He was a great devotee of Pandharpur. He was staying in Pandharpur. So one day, he was completely, detached person. He was not interested in life at all. Only Panduranga was his goal. So one day he was sleeping on the platform or somewhere. So Panduranga, in his evening, at night, Panduranga along with Rukmini Devi goes around the streets of Panduranga, this Pandharpur, just examining what people are doing and all those things. So one day he happened to meet this Vithoba, who was sleeping on the street. So immediately Rukmini Devi said, no, he is such a great devotee of yourself. Why is he allowing him to sleep on this, the ground on the platform? Should you not take care of him? He said, okay, now that your Lakshmi Katasham has fallen on him, obviously, I have to do something about it. And therefore he said, okay, I'll get him married to some person. I think Rukumabai or somebody. I don't exactly remember the name. So she is staying in such and such a particular place. So in the dream, he came to this Vithoba's dream. And then he said that tomorrow go to this house, and then there'll be a girl there. You get married to her. That's what he said. In the dream itself, this man said his dispassion was so great. Even in the dream, he said, no, I don't want to get married. He said, this is my order. I want you to get married. That's what it is. There are certain purposes for doing that. So he said, okay, then if you are ordering me, then I'll do that. So in the same way, he went into the dream of this girl's father and said, tomorrow a person called Vithoba will come to your place. So get your daughter married to him. So then, okay, he said, when Panduranga says, yes, there must be a reason for that. So next day he went there, then they got married. But even after getting married, this Vithoba was not at all interested. Both of them were, of course, great devotees of Panduranga, both husband and wife. Then he was not interested in this, this married life at all. So because he was feeling like it's like a thorn in his, this foot or something like that. So what he decided was he wanted to leave the entire family life. So he left his wife and then went into, of course, they had no children at that point of time. So he left his child, left his wife, and then went in search of some. He said, I'm in Pandharpur, always all these people will force me. So went away from that, went to North India, went to Uttar Pradesh, went to Kashi. There at that time, Sant Ramananda was the great Sant over there. So he went to his ashram and then stayed there for some time. Then finally one day he said, I want to get initiated into this sannyas ashram. He said, are you married? He said, then he said, no, I'm not married. So then he initiated into this sannyas ashram, and they were living there. In the meantime, Sant Ramananda came to the south for some yatra. So at that time he came to this Maharashtra where this lady was there, this Rukumabai. So everybody prostrated before him. This lady also prostrated before him, and therefore he said, since she was quite young, she said, Putravati Bhava. Yeah, I know you hear that blessing. Putravati means, may you have a good children. Immediately she some tears rolled her eyes. Then he said, Betty, what did I say? I didn't say anything wrong. What is wrong in that? What I said? He said, no, you said that whatever you said is good. I don't deny that. But then I won't have that opportunity of being a mother. He said, why do you say that? Are you not married? Yes, yeah, I'm married. Then where is your husband? My husband has left me and has gone. I'm told he has gone to Kashi, and he's in with a sannyasi called Ramananda. She didn't know that he was Ramananda himself. So immediately was shocked. The sannyasi was shocked. This Ramananda was shocked. So he went back. Okay, then he said, whatever I said is only the God's wish. Definitely you'll have a children. Don't worry, you go to your home. That's what he said. So she believed whatever that son said. Then Sant Ramananda goes to Kasi. Then he calls this man. He said, do you have a family? Then he said, yes, the Guru, he couldn't tell lies at that point of view. Yes, I have family, my wife is that. Then he said, you should not have got into the sannyasam. You have then told lies, and therefore you have got to go back to this grahasthasam. Then this person said, the Shastras say that you can go from a lower ashram to a higher ashram, but you can't come back from higher ashram to a lower ashram. That is, from brahmacharyam you can go to grahastha, but from grahastha you cannot come to this brahmacharya. Similarly, from sannyasa you can't come back to the grahastha ashram. If you do that, that's the worst ever seen, and therefore the Shastra says there are so many narakas where you'll have to be there, and so he quoted that and said, I can't. I mean, it's against the Shastra. He said that may be against the Shastra, but then you have also committed another sin. What sin did I commit? He said, you have told me lies and becoming a sannyasi. So this is my order. And the order of the Guru has to be completely followed, whatever be the thing. So you go back to your grahastha ashrama. So he said, okay, fine. If the Guru is ordering me, I can't do. Even if I got to be ordained in that hell, let it be. So he comes home and lives with his wife, and then they have these 4 children: Sopana Devar, this Nivrutti Devar, Sant Jnaneshwar, and Mukta. Each one was a great Mahan. So Bhagavan created a situation for these Jivatmas to be born in this family because both of them are great, devotees of Panduranga. So that's what Bhagavan does, So when the Yoga Brashta, all these people might have been Yoga Brashta in the previous, but Sant Jnaneshwar wrote a commentary on this Bhagavad Gita in Marathi. It is called as Jnaneshwari. So Bhagavan creates a situation for these people to be born in such a kind of a situation. That's what Bhagavan is assuring in this Sloka. Suchinam Srimatam Gege Yoga Brashto Vijayate. Let's move on to Sloka number 42.
अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्.
So there are some sort of people, we saw that, who had some unfulfilled desires, and therefore they go to different lokas, enjoy for a long period of time, and they are born in this other families. But there are some people who don't have any this laukika desires at all. They are following that, but unfortunately that have to be cut because of the prarabdha karma, and the body perishes. What happens to those kind of people? Atava yoginameva kuleba. That means otherwise, what other type of people who don't have any other desires, they immediately get born into a different, into this yoginam kule. That means they are born in the lineage of people who are performing these yogas. Bhavati dhimatam, and also they have got the great knowledge. Dhimatam is very good intellect, who are endowed with great wisdom. So those kind of, he is born into the form immediately on his, and when the person dies, he doesn't go to any other loka. He is immediately born into the same world within a family where there are great, like what we saw in this, Sant Jnaneshwar cases. So those people had to be born, and therefore Bhagavan made sure that these 2 people join together. So that is what happens. Yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam, the family of wisdom. But then he says this is the most difficult thing for anybody to get. Etadhi durlabhataram. That means very, very difficult for a person to get this kind of a birth. Loke janma, this kind of a janma for a person to get in this birth. That is what it is. That means those kind of people who follow the path of yoga without any attachments till the end, for them, such kind of people are very low. But if these people are there, they get immediately born in a family of yogis, so that they continue from wherever they have left, and therefore they are able to progress much faster. That is what Bhagavan is saying. For example, even if you look at the Puranas, you find that, I told you the story of this King Bharata. King Bharata is the son of Rishabhadeva. He's a great devotee of Bhagavan, and therefore he went into this, he handed over the kingdom to his sons, and then went to this place called Avantika, which is closer to this, this Muktinath, Nepal. So he did it. He started doing this Vanaprastha ashram over there for a long period of time. Then I told you he got into some attachment to a deer, a young one of a deer, and therefore he had to take the next birth as deer. Immediately when he died as the deer, immediately he took birth as the Jada Bharata, as a person who was completely Jadam. Jadam means inanimate. So he was completely oblivious. He was not oblivious of what is happening around him at all. So whatever, even if people ask him any question, he won't respond at all, because he was in such a, that mood, Jada. That's why he's called a Jada Bharata. Bharata King, he himself was born as that. So he takes that path immediately so that he can progress further on that. So that's what Bhagavan is saying. Atava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etatti durlabhataram loke janma yadesha. Of course, there are also one advantage of having a guru is, if you are surrendered to a guru and then thereafter guru takes over complete. So you don't have to put in your self-effort, and the situations arise in such a way that you are able to progress further. One example which is being quoted from Kanchi Mahacharya's episode is, he once goes to Padayatra to a place near Karnool. There he wanted, the sannyasis perform this, this Chandramoulishwara puja every day. Further, they need this Bilva, the Bilva leaves. So in that particular day, they couldn't get Bilva leaves. So one day in the morning, they found around 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the front of their camp, there was one full basket of these Bilva leaves. So the Sishyas went and told Swami Paramacharya, today we found that one basket of Bilva leaves, but I don't know who kept that, but it's there. So 2-3 days it happened like that. So then my Kanchi Swami said that, no, you stand there at 4 o'clock itself and find out who is bringing that, this basket of this Bilva leaves. So they stood there around 4:30. One young boy came and then kept it and started running away. So he immediately caught hold of this boy and said, who are you? Why are you doing like that? He said, I am a person who is, I'm an, unpad, that is, I'm uneducated person. I have not gone to school for a long period of time. I'm just doing like a shepherd or a, cowherd, grazing some cattle and all over this thing. I just ran away because I don't know, because since I am such a, low caste person, if I offer this, whether you people will take it or not, that's why I just kept it and ran away. So then they said, okay, then they reported the matter to Kanchi Swami. He said, tomorrow when he comes, ask him to see me in the morning after 10 o'clock or something like that. So he comes next day. Then the people said to take a bath and then come and meet Paramacharya. So he takes a bath and comes and meet Paramacharya. So he asked him, who are you? Then he explained to him, saying that I'm a person who is, such a poor person, and then I lost both my parents. My mother was lost at time when I was young. My father brought me up to some extent. Now he is also no more there. So then he said, what wishes you have? Because since you have offered me this, Bilva leaves, I should bless you, and therefore tell me what do you have anything to ask for? He said, I have got 2 things to ask for. I'll ask one thing today, but the second one I'll ask when you leave this place. The last day when you leave this place, I'll ask for the second one. He said, okay, fine. The first one he said is, my father taught me some of the bhajans and Panduranga, so I want to chant that bhajans every day before you. I said, okay, that's very good. So every day in the afternoon, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, this guy used to come, he chant. And Kanchi Paramacharya said that this boy is very poor, so you feed him every day so that before he goes home. So therefore they did that. So after 15-16 days, when Paramacharya was about to leave this place, he remembered that, that guy, this young boy wanted to ask some other boy. So he asked that boy to come. So the boy was brought before him. He said, what is the one that you want to, what is the second one? He said, my father told me that when you meet all these, great saint people, you should ask for moksha. But I don't know what moksha is, but he said he wanted to know. He asked me for moksha, he said, okay, fine. Then he was completely moved. Paramacharya was moved. So he said, okay, that doesn't matter. It will be, Bhagavan will take care of that. Then he called the chieftain of that particular village and said, you take care of this boy. And then if something happens to the boy, you just let me know. After maybe around 30-35 years of this episode, one day while he was in Kanchipuram, there was a telegram coming to him from so-and-so saying that this particular boy who he met about 30-35 years ago, he's in the last stages of his life and he's almost about to die. So Kanchi Maharaj immediately started from his mutt and came to this Kamachi temple. He was taking bath in this Kamachi, the tank, Pushkarani. Almost about 6 times he took bath and then came out. Then people asked him, why did you take this bath? He said, this boy had 6 more births to go. But since he asked for this moksham, so I made sure that all his karmas in the 6 births are completely eradicated. So that was the greatness. Sorry. That's the greatness of Mahants who can completely get rid of all your karmas. So if you have a guru who is completely realized, even hundreds of births of karmas, they can take care of it. That's what Bhagavan is. Bhagavan is saying that, so obviously this guy is a yoga brashta. Otherwise, why should he ask for moksha? And his father should tell him that you should ask for moksha and then make sure that the Kanchi Paramacharya comes to that place and he's asking for this kind of moksha. So that's what Bhagavan is saying. So a person atava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etadviti durlabhataram loke janma yadasya. So that is the greatness of this people who practice this yoga prashta. They will be completely born into this family, and therefore they will be completely freed from their karmas. That's what he's saying. So let's continue the discussions tomorrow. Vasudevasutam devam kamsa chanuramardhanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum sarvam Sri Krishnarpanamastu. Krishna 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 Krishna.